Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we're doing something different. I do this every once in a while where I will read some books and then want to tell you about them. So I know this is not for everybody, but for some of you who like some book reviews, this is makeup related because I'm going to be doing my makeup at the same time while I review these books. I'm going to be using the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette, and it looks a little something like this. I'm hoping to do I don't know if it's going to be a Halloween look or anything like that, but it is going to be a colorful look, I hope. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe. We'll see. I've been doing a lot of neutral looks lately, so we'll see. I do want to use this purple shimmer in here. I really do. But I'm looking at this orange, and I've been using oranges so much lately. But I'm looking at this orange like, I really like that orange. Okay. In any case, I've got 10 books. Did I say that already? I've got 10 books I've been reading like crazy lately. And I'm already working on my next list because I wanted to stop at 10 books because I'm like, I don't want to make this video too long. So I was hoping that I could get through 10 while I'm doing my makeup. And well, like I said, I'm already working on my next 10 books. Okay. All right. So if you want to hear about some books that I've read, they're all mystery thriller, whodunits, and murder mysteries, things like that. So good for the Halloween season. Those are the kinds of books I read. Okay. All right. Stay tuned. We're getting into it. Okay, I don't even have my face primed or my eyes primed or anything. I'm probably not going to go over what I am using. This isn't really about the makeup so much as it is about the book review. If you have a question about what I'm wearing, let me know what you have a question on, and I will try to remember what I used and let you know. Just ask me in the comments below. Okay, so I've got 10 books. I'm gonna rate them from the book I liked the least to the book that I liked the most, and I'll tell you why I liked it or didn't like it, and give you I'm not gonna read the little thing on the book. I'll just tell you kind of what it's about. And because I don't want to, well, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't really want to stop every time while I'm doing my makeup to read the little description in the book. But I will try to describe what the book is about, if I can remember, because I was thinking, what happened in this book? That's how memorable some of them are. Okay, maybe I'll read the synopsis or the description or whatever of some of them, maybe. Some of them at the lower end of the ratings are not as memorable, except this number 10. Okay, let's just get into it. At number 10 is this book by by L. Gray and K.S. Gray. It is an Olivia Knight FBI mystery thriller, which means there's more than one of these, called New Girl in Town. This is book 1 of the Olivia Knight FBI mystery series thriller book series, I guess you would say, which, am I going to read more of it? Even though it's at the bottom of my list? I don't know. I'm a little interested. But I read this pretty recently. I kind of remember what it's about. There is someone in this small town, this FBI person and woman moves into this small town. She's still an FBI agent. She hasn't retired or anything like that. But she moves into town. And I gotta let this dry a minute. She moves into town. And these girls, these 14, 15-year-old girls are missing. And they need help. And she gets a new partner from the FBI, and she figures out who is taking these girls. And I just gotta say, I've taken some creative writing classes in my day. Back in the day, I wanted to be a writer when I was younger. And then I took some creative writing classes. And you know what I found out? I'm a bad writer. I'm not very good at writing. So what I think, and the good thing about that is I know how to pick out bad writing. Because if I'm reading a book and it looks like something that I would have written, I know it's a bad book. I know it's bad writing. Not necessarily a bad book, because this book, the premise is okay. It's like a who did it kind of thing. But the dialogue in it is so bad. The characters are so one-dimensional in it. And I think there's a prologue in this book where it has the villain. I won't say it's, I can't really say it's a murder because they leave that kind of ambiguous as to whether they actually murdered someone or not. Yeah. Are you confused? I'm confused. Okay. And so the villain has one of the girls with them. And so, how they are talking to, and they are talking to one of the girls that they have kidnapped. So I think this was a very bad idea on the two authors' part to do that, because it gives away quite a bit about the villain. And when the two protagonists run into the villain, I knew right away that was the villain. And I'm not usually good at picking up on things. I knew the moment they ran into the villain that I knew that's the person who's doing this. That's the bad person. And from then on, I didn't have a doubt, except maybe a little bit of a doubt at one point in time, but for the most part, no. I knew who the villain was, and it made the book a little less enjoyable. And like I said, the writing was just not that good. And it had two writers. And then I found out, I was like, how did this get published? And then I found out it's a self-published book that I got from Amazon. And yeah, which made me feel bad because, I mean, I'm all for independent writers getting their stuff out there. But sometimes maybe, and there were quite a few of these Olivia Knight books. I'm thinking maybe their writing got better as the series went along. Because obviously there's more books. So I don't know if I'm interested. Isn't this sad? I like the protagonist in this one. The FBI, the Olivia Knight. I did like her. But do I like her enough to want to read more? No, I don't think so. Because there's more books. There's more books in here that are series books that I'm more interested in. So yeah, no, I don't think, unless I get really desperate for something to read, I'm not going to go there. Okay, something I got from, this is number 9, something I got from my Book of the Month Club. This is one of the earlier ones I read. Let me go ahead and read the thing in here. Okay, celebrating her 45th birthday at the hot new local pub, popular podcaster. There's a lot of protagonists in these books that are podcasters. Alex Summer crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep going on the project. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie is hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she had arrived, Josie Fair disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives in grave danger. There's just a little bit about the author. Okay, that sounds so interesting, doesn't it? Yeah, the book's not that interesting. The book is crazy weird, but not in a good way weird. This Josie character is totally unhinged, and honestly, the Alex character is not someone to really root for. I mean, you feel it's one of those books where they just feed you a little bit at a time. Feed you just kind of what you need to know a little bit at a time. And sometimes that's fun kind of read. You know, oh, that's interesting. And then sometimes, like this book, it's so very frustrating. And I mean, and then there's the title, None of This is True, which turns out to be very much true. Nothing of what this Josie woman is telling Alex is true about her life. I don't know if that's a major spoiler for you, but I mean, it tells you right there in the title, None of This is True. I just didn't think, I didn't like the way things happened in this book. I just didn't. It was written well enough. I didn't have any problem with that. The characters were, this is a sad book. It's a sad, tragic book. And I didn't feel I don't mind books that have bad endings. I really don't. But this one, just nothing good happens in this book. It's just a bad trip. The whole thing is. And I just don't recommend this book. I had my mom read it. She hated it. She's like, don't ever give me a book like this to read again. So there's her review on it. Oh, and the author is Lisa Jewell, just in case you are interested in that. In case you really want to be disappointed throughout the whole book. And there is murder in the book too, so it's totally within my genre. So, okay, I think the book is coming along nicely. All right. Okay, the number 8 book, I've already lost count. It's called The Last Word by Taylor Adams. And I also read this one pretty early on. It is Emma Carpenter is living in isolation with her golden retriever, Laika, house sitting an old beachfront home on the rainy Washington coast. Her only human contact is with her enigmatic elderly neighbor, Deke, and via text with the house's owner, Jules. One day she reads a poorly written but gruesome horror novel by the author H.G. Cain and posts a 1-star review that drags her into an online argument with none other than the author himself. Soon after, disturbing incidents start to occur at night. To Emma, this can't just be a coincidence. It was strange enough for this author to bicker with her online about a lousy review. Could he be stalking her too? As Emma digs into Cain's life and work, she learns he has published 16 other novels, all similarly sadistic tales of stalking and murder. But who is he? How did he find her? And what else is he capable of? So, yeah, that is this book. It's another book of the month club pick that I picked. And, I don't know, another very sad book. Why it's down there at the near the bottom, I guess. This book has a lot of twists and turns in it, and you know, there's a lot of people that like that kind of thing. I don't know, lots of twists and turns. Kind of, how can I explain this? A book with lots of twists and turns kind of gives me a headache, honestly. It really does. I like there to be a couple of good twists in a book, but when it's, and I don't like a lot of action in my books. This book has a lot of action in it. So if you like action books, this is because she's in this house by herself, and this H.G. Cain guy comes and stalks her and tries to get her to come out of her house. And so there's a lot going on. So there is that. And like I said, there's a lot going on in this. A lot of themes, a lot of disturbing elements of stalking, of isolation, of death. I mean, it has a decent ending. What are we thinking? Should I have used gold? Let's put some gold over this. Gold goes with orange better, right? Maybe I can't relate because I would not be out in a beach house, isolated. I mean, where like nobody is around except your old ass neighbor. Okay, I don't know about this eye look, you guys. I don't know how it's looking to y'all. I don't know, purple, orange, and gold. I guess it could be a look, but let's clean it up and see how it looks. Okay, so that was that book. It was okay. I would probably read something else from, hold on, let me see this. This was the guy who wrote No Exit. Yeah, he wrote No Exit, which they actually turned into a movie. And the movie's like on Netflix or Hulu or something like that. So he's kind of a big deal. But, I don't know, just too much going on in that book. Too much going on. I like things that are more, well, you'll see what I like as we go on through the books. Okay, let me just finish lining my eyes, cleaning up this look, and then we'll get to the next book. Okay, maybe I like this a little bit better now. Okay, we're getting more into books that I kind of really did like. These were kind of the Okay, I would recommend these to people that I think would like them. This one was by Danielle Valentine. This is called How to Survive Your Murder. This one is let me tell you, I like books that are about this. Most of these books are about 300 350 pages long. Most of them, yeah, that's about the length that I like to have most of my books, because then after 300 pages it starts to get like, oh my gosh, this is getting really long. And anything shorter than that, I'm like, feel like I'm wasting my money on the book. And so that's a perfect length for a book, 300 to 350 pages. And so here we've got this book of a girl whose sister is killed on Halloween night. And this is kind of a little supernatural here. She meets this angel, or maybe it's not an angel. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. And this supernatural being grants her the ability to go back. It's a year later after the murder, and the guy who she saw kill her sister is up for it's his trial, and there's a lot of people that believe that he's innocent, even though the main character, whose name is Allie, I think. The sister's name is Chloe. No, not Chloe. Claire is the sister. I think the sister keeps calling her Alley Cat. So I want to say that the main character's name is Allie, and her sister's name is Claire. And she sees Claire get stabbed by this guy. And so she is the star witness of this trial. But there's a lot of people who say this guy's innocent. And she runs into this supernatural being who says, we're going to send you back a year, and you have the chance to save your sister's life and see what really happened that night. So this is that book, How to Survive Your Murder, and it has a very, very dark ending, which I kind of appreciate a nice dark ending. I also gave this book to my mom to read, and she did not like it. She likes happy endings. So, if you also like happy endings, maybe you should not read this book. Again, that is Danielle Valentine's How to Survive Your Murder. And yeah, I don't think there's any sequels to this book. So, I liked the writing. I liked the characters were nicely fleshed out. You know what? The reason why this is so low, because there's kids in this. I didn't realize when I got it, but it's a young adult book. And I was reading it, and like, kids don't talk this way. No. This is how people think kids talk. And no, I have kids, and this is not how they talk. And the main guy that the protagonist girl is interested in, he's like I don't know if you get this reference, but he's like a Harry Styles type, kind of a gender fluid guy, and he's like considered to be like this hot guy that all the girls want. And I asked Chloe if there was any guys like this. My daughter Chloe, I asked her, are there any guys like this at your school? And she's like, no, guys like that would probably get bullied. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that that's the way it should be. I think everybody should be inclusive and all that kind of stuff. But I just think this writer wants to be one of the cool kids, I think. And probably thinks that kids talk this way, but kids don't act this way or talk this way. At least not where I'm from, at least. But I mean, it's a shame, yes. But I mean, there's another book in here that's further up, and it's more like, yes, that's how kids talk. That's how kids are. Okay, so that's it for that book. I did like this book. It's just, I don't know. I don't really like supernatural things happening, and I don't like when people write kids to be, I don't know. I know they do it for lip service, for making, I don't know, just to sound cool and be part of the in crowd and all that. But I mean, I'm not buying it. That's not how kids act. So that kind of got on my nerves. So that's it for that book. The next book I got, I really enjoyed, but something was spoiled for me, and that is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And yeah, this is running long, but I am going to talk about all of these books. This is from the author of Gods of Jade and Shadow Come. Okay, after receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin Noemi Taboada heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside. Noemi is an unlikely rescuer. She's a glamorous debutante, more suited for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing, but she's also tough, smart, and not afraid, not of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring, not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by Noemi, and not even of the house itself, which begins to invade Noemi's dreams and visions of blood and doom. Noemi's only ally in this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son, but he too may be hiding a dark secret. As Noemi begins to unearth stories of violence and madness, she is slowly drawn into a terrifying yet seductive world, a world that may be impossible to escape. This was a very interesting book, I gotta say. And but something happened. I was, in the beginning of the book where they have all the reviews saying, oh, this book was fantastic, this book was a roller coaster of emotions, that kind of thing. One of the reviewers spoiled something, and I couldn't believe that they put that in the front of the book. And I couldn't stop thinking about it through the whole book. And it really, so if you get this book, don't read the reviews that are written in the front of the book. So yeah, Noemi goes to this Gothic mansion, this rundown mansion. This is set in the 1950s, to go see what's wrong with her cousin. She married this Englishman. Everything up there is like English, down to the soil. They even brought in English soil, which makes me wonder why they call this Mexican Gothic, because not much about it is Mexican, other than that it's in Mexico, but it's based around a colonized town. So there's a couple of things that keep true to the Mexican culture, but a lot of it talks about English colonization and things like that, and not so much about Mexican culture. So, but this is a very Supernatural, again, I'm not really into that, but this one was very interesting in that fact. Not, it reminded me of another one of these books in here, but I can't tell you what the twist was, because that would be spoiling it for you. But yeah, this family is effed up, this English family. And yeah, they even try to throw in a little love story, although it's total trauma bonding. You know, when people fall in love together, although it's totally because they've been through something horrifying together. So, I mean, this was probably the most unique of all the books that I read. And I do recommend it. Again, that is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. If you want a really something different to read, I would pick out that. But like I said, do not read the reviews for this book, because, and it was more than one review that mentioned it. So don't read any reviews of this book if you are interested in reading this book. That's my advice to you, because that really spoiled it for me. Okay, the next book I have is called Sign Here, which, you know, this is by Claudia Lux. This is the first book she's ever written. This is a really good book, but although I put it at number 5, but it's a really good book, I gotta say. I got this through my Book of the Month Club, and I let it sit for like months and months before I read it. I must have let it sit like 6 months before I read it. That's true of another one I've got in here. But I really liked it and couldn't put it down until I finished it. It was that good. I have to read the inside of it because it's hard to describe. It says, Peyote Trip has a pretty good gig in the deals department on the 5th floor of hell. You heard that right. Sure, none of the pens work. The coffee machine has been out of order for a century, and the only drink on offer is Jägermeister. But Pei has a plan, and all he needs is one last member of the Harrison family to sell their soul. When the Harrisons retreat to the family lake house for the summer with their daughter Mickey's precarious new friend Ruth in tow, the opportunity Pei has waited a millennium for might finally be in his grasp. And with the help of his charismatic co-worker Calamity, he sets a plan in motion. But things aren't always as they seem on Earth or in hell. And as an old secrets and new dangers scrape away at the Harrison's shiny surface, revealing the darkness beneath it, everyone must face the consequences of their choices. Okay. This book was good. The main complaint I have about this book is it's like 2 stories are going on at the same time, and they don't converge until the very end. I thought the 2 stories about what's going on in hell and what's going on earth were going to be the same story, but it's not. It's like 2 different stories, and I'm like, when are these stories gonna come together? And it doesn't come together until the very end, which was kind of disappointing. So yeah, I mean, other than that, she's a really good writer. This Claudia Lux, I don't know, Lux. This is a very well-written book. The characters in here are hilariously written. I just thought it was great. I mean, as I was reading the books, I was numbering them, and this was number 1 on my list for the longest time until I read these other books. I wanted this book to be number 1, but these other ones beat it out. But I read this book early on. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. But it is different. You gotta be into things that are different, for sure. Okay, the next book I have is The Stranger Upstairs. Okay, I kind of got to try to remember what this is about. I know it's about a woman that bought a house. Okay, let's read into it. A therapist and self-help writer with all the answers, Sarah has just bought a gorgeous Victorian in the community of her dreams. Turns out you can get a killer deal on a house where someone was murdered. Plus, renovating a Blackwood house makes for a great blog content. Okay, she's also like into social media. And a potent distraction from her failing marriage. Good thing nobody knows that Sarah's past is as tainted as the bloodstain on her bedroom floor. But the renovations are fast becoming a nightmare. Sarah imagined custom avocado wallpaper, massive profits, and an appreciative husband who would want to share her bed again. Instead, the neighbors hate her guts, and her husband still sleeps on the couch. And though the builders attempt to cover up Blackwood's horrifying past, a series of bizarre accidents, threatening notes, and unexplained footsteps in the attic only confirm for Sarah what the rest of the town already knows. Something is very wrong in that house. With every passing moment, Sarah's life spirals further out of control, and with it her sense of reality. But as she peels back the curling wallpaper and discovers the house's secrets, she realizes that the deadly legacy of Blackwood House has only just begun. This is similar to that Mexican Gothic where it's kind of like a haunted house ordeal, and kind of a similar circumstance, but not as Lovecraftian as Mexican Gothic. Definitely not. There's nothing supernatural about this book. In fact, when you find out what the twist is, it's kind of like, okay, that's why she went crazy? Okay, if you say so. And I like the character in this book. That's why I like this book so much. Not necessarily because of the ending or anything, but because the main protagonist. She is, what can I say about her? She's messy. That's what I can say. She's messy. And she's not perfect. Like, I like protagonists that you can root for, you can relate to. You know that their lives aren't perfect. You know, she has like, she's like on social media, but she pretends like everything's perfect on her social media, but her life is falling apart on the outside. And she's hoping getting this house will help her get better, do better. So, and it doesn't. In fact, it makes things a lot worse. And she's basically going crazy. And sometimes you can relate to characters like that. So I really liked how they wrote the main protagonist in this book. So that's why I put this book where I did on my list. So, yeah, it's a good book. Again, it is The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. I don't think I said that before, but yeah, Lisa M. Matlin. Coming in at number 3, I have got A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson is an awesome writer. Again, this is like another young adult book, I think. And this is the one where I think the dialogue is a lot better. Does a lot better. This is more like how people talk to each other. I think it does a lot better job at that. Whereas the How to Survive Your Murder, no, not so much. So I think she does a really good job there. And this book is a girl. In this book, the murders have already happened. And this girl thinks the person that they think did it, she thinks that someone else did it and got away with it. So she spends the whole book trying to figure out who really did it, or who she thinks were. The person that the town thinks did it committed suicide. And so they kind of closed the book on it and said, yeah, that person did it. So, and this girl, what is her name? Andy. She thinks, no, this person couldn't have done it. This person would never have done it. I think someone else did it, and I'm going to figure out who it was. Basically, that's the premise of this book. So, the main character in this one, a little bit unbelievable. She's like Miss Perfect. She's like little Miss Perfect, never does anything wrong, always does her homework. She's going to go to a Ivy League school kind of girl, always home on time, never misses curfew. Just kind of a Miss Goody Two Shoes kind of character. And maybe that's good for kids, a good role model for kids to read. I guess that's good in a young adult book. Yeah. Now that I'm saying it out loud, yeah, maybe that's a good thing. So maybe I shouldn't judge that. But as an adult reading it, it's kind of like a little bit like, really? You kind of want to see a flawed character, but with kids, you want to see them do good. So she's a good girl. And that's what I said, a good girl's guide to murder. She's a good girl. Yes, she's a very good girl. And bad things happen. And I love this book. I love where it goes. You don't know. They feed you clues, but the person who did it, with that other young adult book, I figured out who did it pretty much before, I don't know, pretty much like 3/4 of the way through the book. This book, I could not figure out who did it. So that is a good testament to how well it's written. I like that about that book. It's a good book. Holly Jackson is a very good writer, and this is a series. This has 3 books in this series, and I'm definitely going to read the other 2 in it and review those as well. I'm liking the look. The second book, the book number 2, is The Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. I tell you what, some of these books, like that, which book was it? The Final Word. I was like, when is this book going to end? When is this book going to end? When is this book going to end? Because things kept happening in it. And all the twists and turns and stuff like that. I was saying that too much was happening in that book. With this book, I could not, I didn't want this book to end. It was so good. And this is like a book about 4 women who were recruited to be in this special operations team that assassinates bad people. That's the best description I have for you. And they were recruited way back when they were in their 20s, and now they're in their 60s, and their bosses are trying to terminate them. And they are trying to spend the whole book trying to not die. and it's just a fun book. There is some action in it. I say I don't like action, but there's some light action in this, and I don't dislike it. I really like the characters, and the characters, you know, you have a 4-character cast, and you're kind of like, how can they, in a 300 odd page book, develop 4 characters? Well, they focus on one main character, but there's enough time for them to get all of the characters developed. It's really a great book. Okay, and the last book, number 1, is by Richard Osman. It is the Thursday Murder Club. I think everybody should read this book that likes a good mystery novel. It also is about a group of friends that live, and they're older, and they live in a retirement village. And what is it? I've given this to my mom to read. And a local developer is found dead with a mysterious photograph left next to his body, and also the owner, and manager of the retirement village shows up dead. And this group of retirees who have formed their Thursday Murder Club, where they like to go over old cold cases. But they have decided that they are going to figure out who killed these 2 men. And this book is so funny. None of these books are funny. None of them. I didn't laugh reading these books. I laughed all the way through reading this book. But you have to have that dry kind of humor to really appreciate it. That English dry humor. I spent like a lot of time watching those PBS late night, British comedies. I spent a lot of time watching those growing up. And so I really like English humor. So this book was so funny. And I really liked that about this book. So yeah, there's more of them out there. It's a series now, so I want to buy more in the series. But there's 4 characters, 2 women and a man, 2 women and 2 men. And this book, the characters in it are just so believable, so well written, and the plot is so well written. The characters, the descriptions, oh my gosh. And between this book and the first book I reviewed, totally different worlds were coming from here. From someone who, I mean, what, did this win an award or something? This should have won some awards. It probably has. To 2 people who can't. I'm trying to be nice. Okay. So anyway, that was my number 1 pick for these last 10 books that I read. Okay. And let me just add my lipstick and I will be done. Okay, and here is my final look. I will say to those 2 writers who wrote New Girl in Town, you got to start somewhere. And, I give them, they've got a lot of, it's brave what they're doing, putting out, their writing, self-publishing their own book. And it really wasn't that bad. I'd probably have written worse. And they did leave in their book saying, please email us if you find grammar or spelling errors in the book, and let us know. So when we publish it again, when they publish it again, they can fix it, And I mean, there's a lot of self-published authors on Amazon. So, I mean, here's to you guys for being brave enough to do that kind of thing. I could never do it, honestly. I could never. And I still like to write, but I could never write a novel. So, I mean, yeah, here's to you guys. And I bet your books just get better as you write them. I bet they do. Okay. All right. That is all that I have for my book review. I will do another one of these when I read my next 10 books because I like talking about books. I'm going to keep doing them. Okay. And even if nobody watches. Okay. So let me know what you think of my look. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Tell me some books that you might have read. Give me some recommendations down in the comments below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I know this was very long, but okay. And share it with your friends if you think they might enjoy it. So, yeah, but if you don't want to do any of that, just you watching to this point, thank you for sticking it out. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, whether you are a subscriber, a casual viewer, or this is your very first time watching one of my videos. If it is, and you're like books, you're like makeup, you like me doing makeup while I talk about books, then hey, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time that I upload a new video, because I will be doing more book reviews. Okay, I hope y'all are all having a wonderful, fantastic day out there today. If you're having an especially hard time, know that I'm thinking about you and sending you all of those good vibes. Just remember to stay strong, stay healthy, and stay safe out there. And I will see you in another video soon. Just stay well until then. Okay, goodbye.